Hi, welcome to PracticeEPR, the cloud-based patient records and practice management system. In this tutorial, we're going to look at how the invoicing module works, how charges are calculated, and how you can amend invoices. We'll start off by looking at our sample patient. Here's the patient record for Sarah Wilson. We can see she's had a number of treatments. We can see that she's had a number of episodes, appointments, and a prescription. Okay, let's look at some more of those episodes. As part of this episode, we have some treatments that have been given. We've got a consultation for £10 and a follow-up consultation for £15. And we want a method by which we can charge this treatment. If I drill down to the treatment, I can see that it's not yet been invoiced, but I can also see it's not yet been marked as completed. If the complete treatment isn't complete, we can't bill for it, so treatment must be marked as complete. Now, in the appointments module, we saw ways in which we could auto-complete treatments from the events in the clinician diary. If you prefer to use the treatment plans and manually book things in, you can also do it by creating a new appointment from a treatment. However, in this case, what I'm going to do is mark this treatment as complete manually. Okay, and I'll go back to the episode and I'll do the same on the next item. Okay, let's go back to Sarah's patient record. Each patient is associated with a bill payer. In this case, Sarah's paying her own bills. Let's click through and look at Sarah's bill payer record. We see a summary of the details from the patient records, and a bill payer can be associated to multiple patients. This could be a family member who pays the bills for the whole family, or it could be an insurer, or it could be an individual. We can see we can have different payment terms for the bill payer, and we have an option to separate invoices for each patient, which can be of use for insurers. We can see any invoices already raised, and we can manually raise an invoice if we so choose at this point. In this case, I'm going to get the system to generate me all the invoices due on this account. I just click the Generate Invoice button, and the system will do the rest. Okay. We see here an invoice has been generated, invoice number 323. Let's see what that's made up of and where the charges came from. Okay, we can see quite a lot of invoice items on this. We're going to drill down and see where each of these came from. I'm going to open these new tabs. The first one is from our ankle sprain, our first two treatments that we just completed. Let's have a look at those. This is from the treatment, the consultation we gave. And if I want to look further, I can drill down back into that treatment that I checked as completed now. We see now the invoice checkbox is now checked, so I can't invoice this charge again. Your system administrator can uncheck invoices, so items, so they could be re-invoiced in case that's necessary. The next item is also from that ankle sprain. It's the follow-up appointment for £15. Here we have a different episode name, another consultation on an ankle sprain. And here we have a patient appointment, physiotherapy. Let's have a look at this one. Here we have a physiotherapy treatment related to an appointment, which has also been marked as completed. This was actually one of our previous examples. It was a clinician event that we completed from the clinician's calendar. That's quite a simple example. Let's look in more detail how we can create manual invoice items. Let's go through the whole process end to end of creating charges and then invoicing. Here we see the patient record for Sarah Wilson. She's been with us a few times for different appointments, and she's had a number of different episodes. If we scroll down, we can see Sarah's billing information. Okay, Sarah's a patient who pays her own bills. Let's have a look at her billing record. Okay, on the billing record we have some address details. Now, the bill payer for a patient may not be the same as the patient themselves, and one patient may pay the bills for multiple other patients, so usually family members. We can also set up bill payers for insurers such as Bupa, and we can collect them together. As part of that, we can show the total account balance and match any cash off that's received against the invoices we raise. And we can choose if we're raising an invoice for all treatments for the patients associated, here just Sarah Wilson, or whether we're going to create a separate invoice for every patient. If I scroll down, we can see we've got a previous invoice for Sarah as well, invoice number 323. We can see the total amount of that invoice and what its current payment is. Let's take the scenario where the first thing we're going to do is match off a payment I've received. So this would typically be an administrator perform this function. They can match off the payment amount received from Sarah. We notice now the balance has been written down to 0 and the account balance is to 0 as well. So let's go ahead and create some more invoices. There are two ways we can create invoices. The first way is we can get the system to generate invoices for us based on the treatments that have been provided. Let's go ahead and do that and then examine where those treatments came from. We see here we have a new invoice that's been created, invoice number 324. I can click that. And I can choose to print the invoice. But what we're going to do is explore where did these treatments come from, what's been provided. So firstly we see we appear to have a prescription that's been provided. Let's look at the next invoice item. Again, we'll open this in a new tab so we can stay where we are. This time we have a lab test that's been given to Sarah. And we can see here the results for cholesterol and calcium have been completed. It's a charge of £75. That's been included on the invoice. We see the episode name's been prefixed in front of the lab test to give a bit more meaning and context, and so we can group related items together. In fact, all 4 of these items all come from the same episode of care. And for these charges, we can print from the system an invoice. And this invoice can be attached as a PDF file and sent electronically, or it can be printed and given to a patient. You can also use the API to interface to third-party systems for charges. Let's now look at other ways of raising invoices. I'm going to go back to Sarah Wilson as a bill payer and actually provide her a credit note. We see her account's £177 in credit. I'm going to raise a credit note for that. On the transaction tab here, I can raise a manual invoice or credit note. If I have items unrelated to the practice management side that I wish to charge for, I might have a retail shop, a retail pharmacy. In this example, I'm going to raise the credit note I mentioned earlier. Let's give it today's date. And the status is actually automatic, it's invoiced. I don't need to do any more. I'm going to leave the payment received empty. I now need to add to this credit note the items that I'm crediting. So I'm going to say discount for low income patients. I'm going to provide £100. Now it doesn't relate to any particular lab test, prescription or treatment. I could if I want to. Let's go back now to Sarah's account. So we have a £100 discount plus the VAT of £20 is applied. You must remember you're entering net prices, not gross. Now the account balance has changed from £177.59 to £157. We see here the credit note, because it's a credit note, has been deducted. You do not need to enter credit notes as a negative amount. The balance itself will apply that functionality. Now let's pay off the rest of this invoice for Sarah. So I've got a remaining balance of £57.59. Okay, go back to our account. We see the account balance is now 0. All the charges tally up with the payments received, the credit notes applied, and the invoices that have been raised. Now in the same way, you can raise manual invoices. You can also print the invoice that you've created manually. So if I go to my credit note, okay, thank you very much. That's the billing and invoicing on PracticeEPR.